prepositions are used for indicating different places. Modal verbs are very useful for writing instructions.
We are using can.
Huh?
Instead of this past we are using could. So why we can't say I could catch the bus?
You must not speak in the class.
You should speak in the class. The class must not be silent, because it's a language you are learning, and if you don't speak in the class, how will you learn the language? Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Right. Now, what did you do? You've been doing these English classes for quite some time now, right? Now, last time, what did you do? Spoken English, was it? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, okay. Now, you know that all languages are basically spoken, right? So, you learned lots of things, how to pronounce vowels and consonants and how to speak in English using stress and intonation. All right. Now, that was about the spoken part of it. You put these sounds together and you create words, right? And then you put these words together into phrases, phrases into sentences, and that is how you speak. That's all fine. When you speak, what do you speak about? Ourselves or the world around us? Right. Now see, if you look at the world around us, there are lots of objects in this world, right? And we have to talk about, like for instance, if somebody was late and somebody wanted to come into the class, what was the word? May I come in, right? That is the expression that you would use. But suppose you want to go, may I go out? These are called prepositions, okay? Prepositions. Can you see two words there? Yes. What are they? Pre and positions. Now, what is a position? Position of an object, you know, like your position is you are on the chair, right? I am in front of you. That is my position. So, when we describe the outside world, when we talk about objects in the outside world, we are describing their positions. These positions are with respect to each other. Like I am talking about you, you are talking about me, we are talking about the blackboard, or we may be talking about the podium or the walls, you know. Now, we need to talk about these things and we need to make places very clear. That is why we say these are about positions. These words are about positions, but they are prepositions. Pre means before. So, you know, suppose somebody wanted to say, this is a, what is this? It's a table, right? Now, suppose I said, there is something here. What will you say? A book, maybe. How will you say that? On the table. Now, this position is indicated, but can you say it is in the table? No. Why? It's on the table. That means we are indicating a surface. So, if you are talking about the position of an object on the surface, you will use the word on. Okay? But it's not always that you look upon the place as surface. You can, for instance, doesn't look like a river, does it? It's a stream. Okay. Suppose there is a way which goes by this river. How will you say now? Suppose there is, you want to describe a man who is walking on this road. How will you say that? Along. Now, when you are talking about the position as well as direction, okay. So, these directions also are, when you say along, you are talking about some kind of positioning of the man, but that is a moving position. So, that man is moving along the river, right? Okay. Now, suppose there is a kind of forest here, right? And the man wants to, from one end of this forest, he wants to cross to the other side. How will you say that? Somebody said he is walking in the forest, right? and then somebody said he is walking through the forest. Are you writing this down? Now, what is the difference between in the forest, through the forest? Now, this is again where that space, the position becomes very important. How are you looking at, how you are defining the place about which you are talking? Like for instance, he is walking in the forest, you are looking at the forest as a big space and he is walking inside that. So, if this is the forest, then he is walking only within it without coming out of it. Okay. Whereas, if you say he is walking through the forest, what does it mean? Now, you are indicating direction through that space. So, you are saying that he entered the forest from one end, walked through the forest and came out of it. So, the difference here is, if you said he is walking in the forest, the difference would be that he is walking inside the forest without having come out. If you said he is walking through the forest, that means the person has crossed over from one side of the forest to the other side of the forest. Suppose he wasn't walking in the forest, but he is walking on a way which is outside the forest. What will you say?
Passing.
Okay, he was passing. What preposition will you use? Passing by. So, another preposition which indicates direction in the space that you are moving is passing by the forest. So, when you say somebody is passing by something, do you mean to say he is inside that space? He is out of it, but he is walking by, or he is also passing along. So, we are talking about space as a surface, we are talking about space as a volume. We are also talking about prepositions indicating some direction of either coming to the volume, to the space, or going away from it, or going through it. Is that clear? So, there are these different kinds of prepositions which we use. So, we can say that prepositions are used for indicating different places, different positions within a particular space. Let me give you two sentences just to test whether you have understood this or not. Suppose I said, tell me the difference between these two sentences. He is sitting in the grass and he is sitting on the grass. There is a difference between these sentences. How do they mean differently?
Surface.
On, okay, because of surface. And in
grass is very tall in that.
Excellent, excellent, very good, Kranti. Yes. Which sentence means that the grass is very tall?
In first sentence.
Yes. When you say inside the grass, grass is a volume, he is sitting in, and probably the grass is so tall that it's covering him, right? And he is sitting on the grass.
Where it is very small.
Grass is close cropped probably. Right, the lawn is mowed probably, and therefore he is sitting on the grass, you can see him. So, look at the way prepositions can change our perceptions of the positions. Okay. Now, suppose there are other positions, okay, which we also would like to describe. Now, where am I standing?
On the floor, ma'am.
Okay, I am standing on the floor. Would you like to describe?
Near to board.
Near. Okay, you say near the board, not near to the board, near the board. Okay. Anything else? Where are you sitting?
In front of us.
In front of. Okay, now look at these positions. In front of the students. I am standing by the board. Okay.
In the room.
In the room, yes, very good. Anything else that you can use here?
Beside that podium.
Very good, beside the podium. So, the point is that you can describe places, describe objects, describe people within a particular space in different ways. Okay. What do we have here? What is this?
Terrace.
Terrace, it's a roof. Now, we have two prepositions which indicate something which is there on over our heads. Okay, we have over and we have above. Where is the sky? Above the roof, right. Now, can somebody tell me what is the difference between over and above? Both of them are up there, What is the difference?
Over means which is in touch. Above.
Okay, over means directly above. Okay, whereas above is, it crosses, it covers you and goes beyond. All right, that is the difference between. The roof is directly over us and the sky is above us. That is the difference. Now, here is a small exercise which I would like to give you. Would you like to have a look at this and describe what people in the picture are doing? Different objects in the picture. So, you are looking at this picture. Okay. Very briefly, we said, and you must have this information for you, like we said, space can be looked upon, or some object in a particular place can be looked upon as a point, right? You can look upon it as sort of direction as a line, okay? Or you can, like we said, walk along the forest. He is walking along the river. Or as volume, like for instance, we said it is in the room. Now, these are different ways in which you can describe the objects. Let us look at the picture that you have before you, and let us see in how many different ways can you describe, which prepositions you can use to describe. There are various objects in this picture, right? List the objects in this picture. What do you see in the picture?
The sun is rising.
There is the sun.
Window is open.
The window. Then there is a picture frame.
Telephone.
Telephone, table.
Television.
Yes, a sofa set. There is a cat as well, yes. There is a mat too. Slippers. Okay, there are books, a bookcase also. Now, if we want to describe all of these things, let me see quickly one by one. Will you start with the first? Tell me the position of the cat.
Under the table.
The cat is under the table. Okay.
The television is on the table.
The television is on the table, and there is a table. Table and television. How will you describe the positions of these in respect to each other?
Table is on the floor, madam.
Table is on the floor, right. But I am asking you about the television and the table.
Beside the.
Right. The table is beside, or the television is beside the table. Okay. What about the flower pot?
On the table.
On the table. Okay. What about the bookcase? The bookcase is against the wall. Okay. And where is the transistor? It's near the telephone.
Near the telephone.
Yeah, and both the transistor and the telephone are?
On the.
It's on the shelf. And where is the lamp?
It is hanging to the roof.
Hanging? Over the roof?
It's above the table.
Okay, over the table.
Over the table.
Why won't you say above the table? Does it go beyond the table also? Not really. The position is direct,
Yes, ma'am.
it's actually over the table. All right. So, in this way, you can go on describing many things, okay, in this picture. But I have got another exercise for you, and let me see if you can do this. Take one. Now, let us see how many prepositions you can put in this particular paragraph. I have given you a paragraph, and there are lots of blanks here for prepositions. Now, quickly go through this and suggest what prepositions you would like to fill in these gaps with. Shall we start? Yeah, now you must have gone through this exercise. Let us go one by one through this, and let me see how many different prepositions we have been able to fill the gaps with. Okay, right. Now, there is a picture before me. Now, the next sentence you have to read. Who will read it?
I see a dog in it.
In it, very good. Why in it? Because it is there inside the picture. Right, okay. Next.
It is trying to swim under the river.
It is trying to swim
Across.
under the river?
Across the river.
Across the river. Why across the river? Why not under the river? Under the river, below somewhere in the ground. But it's not like that. The dog is swimming in the river. But what is the dog trying to do? It is trying to swim across. Why across? Because it is trying to cross from one end to the other end, and therefore we have used across here. It is trying to swim across the river to reach the other bank. So it indicates a movement through the mass of water. Okay. Leaves are falling
From the trees.
from the trees. You can also use another preposition, off the trees. Leaves are falling off the trees, okay, or from the trees. There is a hill and a small village
At the foot of the hill.
at the foot of the hill, because it is at the point. It's a particular point.
Why can't we say near the foot of the hill?
Near, because it is not near. It's located there at the foot. It is a point that we are talking about. See, it's not like, now we don't have the picture, but suppose there were a picture, okay, suppose this is the picture and suppose this is the hill, that it's somewhere here, this house, isn't it? So it is at the foot of the hill. If you say near, then it could also mean somewhere here. But when we say foot of the hill, it means this is the foot of the hill, right? It is there. So it is that particular point. So it's not near the hill. Near would mean there is a lot of distance between, in terms of the picture, of course, distance between so near, not at the foot of the hill. Okay, it's directly behind, the hill is directly behind the house. That is why at the foot of the hill. Okay, next.
A man is walking along the river from a green path.
From a green path or along the river on a green path.
On the river.
Yeah, because he is walking on the path, right? So, along the river, because the path is along the river and parallel to the river, and he is on it. That is the position. Okay. A woman can be seen getting, next sentence please.
Into a house.
A woman can be seen getting
Into a house.
into a house. Okay. Next sentence.
Two small children are trying to get into the house through a window.
Very good. Into the house through a window. Now, what is the difference? Can anybody tell me the difference between in and into?
When the body is moving, we use into.
Any other answer? Okay. See, in means inside something. Okay. Now, this woman is going from outside into. Okay. That is why into. Into indicates the direction of the movement. So, she is entering into the house. Yeah. And the children are entering into the house through the window. So, through indicates that they are passing through, yes. And another example for in and into, she is in the water, but she is jumping into the water. If you say she is jumping in the water, she is already inside and she is jumping inside. But if you say she is in the water and she is jumping into the water, it means she is swimming in the water. But when you say into, she is from outside, she is entering into this, right? So that is the difference between in and into. All right. Next sentence.
I can see many clouds floating over the hill.
Very good. Here you can say over and above as well, because the clouds don't have to be absolutely over. They can be above as well. Okay. So the picture looks so peaceful. Can you see the picture in front of your eyes? It's a good description, isn't it? Yeah, I have taken this from a story actually. I can hear the sound of the leaves. The last sentence, who can do it?
I can almost hear the sound of the leaves rustling in the wind.
Okay, rustling in the wind, right? Okay. So we have looked at different prepositions today. We have looked at prepositions as they indicate a volume. We have looked at prepositions as they look at the space as a line. So you say along, as a point, on, at. These are indicative of the points of objects. Then we have looked at different directions. So we have said into, through, off, across, along. All of these prepositions indicate some kind of a movement from one point to another, and that is how we can describe different objects with the help of positions of different objects with the help of prepositions. But this is only one use of prepositions, and that is to describe the movement, but basically we are describing the position. Okay, position, movement, okay, space, okay, movement within the space. But prepositions, and which we will look at again some other time, prepositions also can be used to describe time relations. We have been looking at space relations, that is the place, positions and place and direction, etc. We can also describe time relations. For instance, description between of events happening at different points in the time. How do we describe these? So the same prepositions can be used in different ways to describe those things as well. Okay. So today we have looked at prepositions as very useful words to describe space relations. Then some other time we will look at prepositions as a means to describe time relations. Right? Do you think you have learned something?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you have the exercises in front of you, right? I have given you a picture. Actually there are two pictures there. You have described only one picture. So as your homework, you can describe the other picture. Write it down nicely in this is set of 8-10 sentences. Describe the various objects, their positions using prepositions and come to the class. All right? That is your homework.